The world doesn't end in fire, it ends in quiet. Ash drifts through the air like frozen breath, settling on shattered shields, cracked skulls, and broken names. The sun never rises. The sky hangs low and bruised, split open by red seams that refuse to heal. This is what's left. A battlefield without winners. A universe holding its breath. Odin's spear lies snapped in two, its runes burned hollow. Thor's hammer rests half-buried in the dirt, too heavy for a dead hand to lift. The Midgard serpent coils motionless around the edge of the world it once strangled. This is Ragnarok, the end the gods spent centuries running from. And then something moves. Not a monster feeding on corpses. Not a god crawling away from fate. Footsteps, measured, unhurried. A figure steps out of the smoke. No wounds, no blood, no exhaustion etched into his face. Light follows him into a place where light should no longer exist. Baldr, the god who died before the end of the world, walks calmly through what remains after it. That shouldn't be possible. Baldr's death wasn't just tragic, it was structural. The moment his heart stopped, destiny accelerated. The machinery of fate lurched forward. Ragnarok stopped being prophecy and became momentum. So why does he return now? Not during the war, not to save anyone, but after everything and everyone is already gone. Is this resurrection? Or is this what happens when the universe decides who deserves to remain? Stay with this story, because Baldr's return doesn't feel like mercy. It feels like selection.
Unveil the legends.
Before the ash, before the wolves swallowed the sun, there was peace, or at least a convincing imitation of it. Asgard gleamed like it would never fall. Gold halls stretched toward the sky. Feasts never ended. The gods laughed loudly enough to drown out prophecy. At the center of it all stood Baldr. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the smartest. He wasn't the most feared. He was adored. Baldr was everything the gods liked to pretend they were. Gentle without weakness. Powerful without cruelty. Honest in a realm built on manipulation. He didn't rule through force. He ruled through affection. And that made him dangerous. Because nothing destabilizes a violent system faster than someone who doesn't need violence at all. Then the dreams began. Baldr dreamed of his own death. Not glorious, not heroic. Cold soil pressing into his skin. Darkness filling his lungs. Silence where applause should have been. Gods don't fear dying. They fear inevitability. Frigg heard the dreams and broke. Not emotionally. Strategically. She didn't argue with fate. She tried to outlaw it. She crossed the 9 worlds demanding promises. Not asking, demanding. Fire would not burn Baldr. Steel would not cut him. Stone would not crush him. Poison would not rot him. Everything swore obedience. Mountains bowed. Rivers complied. Disease retreated. Everything except one thing. Mistletoe. Too young to matter. Too soft to fear. Too harmless to notice. And Odin? Odin watched. The All-Father knew the prophecies better than anyone. He knew Baldr's death was a load-bearing pillar in the architecture of Ragnarok. But Odin never destroyed fate. He negotiated with it, delayed it, redirected it, used it. Because Odin didn't fear the end of the world. He feared losing control before it arrived. Invincibility became entertainment. The gods turned Baldr into proof that destiny could be mocked. They hurled spears at his chest, swung axes at his neck, dropped stones from the sky. Nothing worked. Weapons bent, fire cooled, poison dulled, laughter filled Asgard. But it wasn't laughter born of joy, it was relief. If Baldr couldn't die, then maybe none of them could. Only one god didn't laugh. Loki stood apart, quiet, eyes sharp. He didn't hate Baldr. That's the lie people repeat. Loki hated what Baldr represented. A world that forgave perfection and punished deviation. Loki was chaos in a system obsessed with order, a flaw that refused to be corrected. Baldr was the excuse. So Loki searched for weakness, and he found it growing quietly at the edge of the world. Mistletoe, green, soft, unarmed. He shaped it carefully, not into a sword or spear, but into a dart, something playful, something dismissible. Then he found HR, blind, isolated, standing at the edge of the crowd. HR never joined the games. He couldn't see the laughter, couldn't feel the thrill. He existed on the margins of divine joy. Loki approached gently. He placed the dart in H's hand, guided his aim, whispered encouragement. The throw wasn't violent, the sound was. A dull impact, a gasp. Baldr collapsed. For the first time, silence devoured Asgard. No miracle followed. Blood darkened the sacred ground. The gods rushed forward, screaming, pleading, desperate, to reverse a moment that refused to move. Hermor rode to hell, bargaining with death itself. Everything wept for Baldr. Trees shed leaves, stones cracked. Even monsters mourned. Everything except one figure, a giantess who refused to cry. Or maybe someone who understood what the others didn't. Baldr stayed dead. And from that moment on, Ragnarok stopped being a story about the future. It became a countdown. The myths pretend Baldr's return is natural, like spring after winter, like breath after drowning, but timing is everything. Baldr does not rise when the gods still fight. He does not appear when Asgard burns. He waits. Odin is already swallowed by Fenrir. Thor has already smashed the Midgard serpent and staggered 9 steps into death. Loki and Heimdall have already carved each other out of existence. Every god who defined the old world is gone. Only then does the ground of hell loosen its grip. That is not rescue. That is clearance. Think about what Ragnarok really was. Not just an apocalypse, but a system failure. The gods hoarded power. They recycled violence. They mistook control for order. Ragnarok wasn't a surprise. It was overdue. And Baldr's return is framed as hope, because the story needs us to believe the universe is kind. But the universe has never been kind. It has been efficient. The poems tell us Baldr returns unchanged, untouched by hell, untarnished by suffering. That detail should bother you. Death changes everything it touches, unless the thing returning was meant to return. Baldr doesn't crawl back to life. He steps into it, as if he was stored, preserved, waiting. Here's the darker interpretation. Baldr wasn't killed by Loki. He was removed by fate. The gods thought they were playing games. Loki thought he was proving a point. Odin thought he was delaying destiny. None of them realized they were signing the same verdict. The world didn't want warriors anymore. It wanted quiet. The new world rises quietly. No trumpets. No celebrations. Just green grass breaking through burned earth as if the past never mattered. Baldr rules this world, not by force, not by decree. By default, there is no one left to oppose him. The survivors walk beside him in silence. Vidar, Vali, even HR, the hand that killed him. No punishment, no scars. The past is erased. That should disturb you, because justice needs memory, and this world has none. The Eddas call it peace, eternal peace. No war, no lies, no betrayal. But notice what's missing. No ambition, no hunger, no rebellion. The sun returns cleaner, brighter, younger, like the universe itself has been scrubbed of desire. This isn't triumph, it's sterilization. The old gods were reckless. They loved too hard, fought too fiercely, sought knowledge even when it destroyed them. That obsession ended the world, but it also gave it motion. Baldr brings stability, and stability feels like safety. Until you realize nothing new can grow inside it. So what is Baldr's return? A second chance or the final full stop? Because a world without monsters has no heroes, and a world without heroes doesn't need courage. It needs obedience. Baldr isn't a tyrant. He doesn't have to be. He rules a world that already surrendered. So ask yourself, would you choose a perfect world if it meant nothing ever truly changes? Because next, we follow the god who survived by waiting.